Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 11. We're here with Round 1. It's a brand new day for the Sim Racing Alliance. It's going to be a little bit more punishing out here during qualifying.
It's definitely a hard one here. It's what it's like. It's very, very punishing.
For all the way in Germany, this will be the first time we see this in the team series here. This is a track where you will be driving the track, not as much driving the drivers on the track.
Very brave is the Ferrari to get the move done.
He does get the position done.
Oh, huge contact, and they're both going to go around. It's going to be a huge move up the inside.
He's been using every bit of the track.
Pedal to the metal, foot to the floor.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Hello, SRA Nation. We are back after our week break here at the Red Bull Ring for round 5 of our Division 6 race for Season 12. So teams are just finishing their debriefing and quali will start in the next few minutes. So while they're going through that, we can look here at the track that we'll be racing today, and also a quick look at the standings and the team standings. All right, so here we are at the Red Bull Ring. Conditions should be wet. As I say, should be wet depending on the RNG of the servers. It's a 4.318 kilometer track, 2.684 in freedom units here in Austria. A meager, only 10 turns in this track, a lot of long straights, but just a more reason to make every one of those turns count. I would say that in the wet, depending on how the drivers will react, potentially almost every one of these turns is a passing opportunity. You just have to watch out to try and get visibility outside of the spray if it is indeed a wet race, to be able to make these overtakes safely. But definitely going to be a very skill intensive race for all of our drivers here in a D6. So while everyone is loading up into the server for the qualifying session, we'll have a quick look at our standings here in D6. So topping the charts here in order, we got JP May leading D6, but close behind we got Ghislaine Smith and Rob Warren trailing. Rob Warren looking to finalize also the team championship with his teammate JP May in the Bentley, then followed by Stephen Pellerin, Mark DC, John Baum, Mark Allen, Corey Mummery, Dan Meyer, and Corey Colt to round out the top 10 of the individual standings. I'll let anyone interested read through the rest of it. I'll give you a second here. We also have a few of the people a bit further down in the standings list, and a few people that haven't participated yet in a race. As for the team standings, we do have the Battle Bentley boys with Rob Warren and JP May leading the pack by over 150 points. So Ghislaine Smith and Martin Abubo with the Lambo Calrissian, or Mark DC and Brian Acom need to have a very good race to hope to catch up. 150 points ahead only in week 5 is going into week 5 is a pretty hefty lead. Then we got Aston Safety Car at 368, Midfield Masters, Pigeon X at 327, Fast and Ferrariist, Kenosha Kickers, GR Mums, Visual Sim Sport, Champion Motorsports, Bohica Racing, Gabagol Racing, Slows Racing, Viper, Fat House, Mustang, and Titan Racing. A lot of those last ones are only one person that haven't raced yet. Okay, so I think that the quali has already begun, so let's tune in and see what's going on here. So let's see if anyone is on the track already here. Reconnect to this. Okay. So we got all the cars parked here, probably just waiting for the actual session to begin. They're probably just getting all their setups done in the meantime. So we'll just wait in the meantime while they're getting everything ready. Yep, so it does seem to be raining at the moment on the track. Hard to tell quickly by looking at it, but probably just light rain at the moment. We'll be able to tell, I guess, when the tracks get on, when the cars get on the track to see what the pace will look like. Okay, there we go. So forwarding the session. Only 16 people in the server so far, so the field is very slim for this race. Hopefully everyone is safe from the meteorological situation happening with our brothers and sisters with the hurricane going on. So hopefully everyone's safe. If anyone that isn't joining is affected by that, our thoughts and prayers go out to them. Okay, so it looks like people are lining up onto that. And we'll just go with that. There we go. Okay, so got a few cars starting to get on track here. First car out was Corey Mummery, so we'll follow him a little bit. Look at him watch. He's doing his outlap, so going out into T1, Mickey Lauda curve with the long straight uphill with a nameless T2, slight little curve just there, but not really a passing point or anything like that. Going into turn 3 Remus with another sensibly long straight all the way down to a very slow hand corner. As we can see here, Mummery not using any of the curb on the outside of the turn. Very, very slippery in the wet. He's coming down here just before the last turn here to go to start his first valid lap. At the moment, also a lot of cars on track. Actually, not a lot of gold drivers here today. Most of the lineup is silver. So that's why most of the cars at the moment are on track. Only 6 gold drivers waiting in the pits for their turn. So we'll have to see what the pace is going to look like here in the D6 silver drivers. In a light rain condition, as I think this might be just by the look of the track at the moment, we're maybe looking at some maybe some 36s, some 37s maybe from the D6 drivers. Some of them that put in a little bit more practice going into this race, especially they had a full 2 weeks to prepare for this since there was a week off. Maybe a little bit faster in the gold division, depending on how well they'll be able to adjust to the changing rain conditions, if it does dry up or if the rain does get heavier as the sessions progress. Mummer here coming up on the final turn of the lap, cutting in a little bit, but should be fine, not using any curb on the exit. Okay, so we got a 37. I wasn't too far off, so we're looking at a 37 so far from the first lap we have. Okay, a couple of the drivers actually on invalid laps, so we might not see. Another one here. Okay, we got Acosta with a relatively slow lap, but maybe just getting a little bit of heat in the tires, testing out the conditions here. Getting a feel for the track and the level of the wetness and the rain. But Mummery so far looking at a really fast first lap compared to the rest of the field. Doesn't mean how the rest of the session will go for the silver drivers, but so far over a second and a half to its closest rival. Okay, let's tune in with someone else here. Cleveland Leatherwood here, coming on about the middle of this lap approximately. I know that a lot of these D6 drivers have put in a lot of laps of practice compared to their usual, what they're usually looking at. To note a few, Corey Colt, Zipperburn Sr. put over 200 laps in preparation for this race. Dan Meyer, which is one of our D6 drivers that's present tonight, over 150. Leatherwood as well, over 150. Let's see if it's worth it. Okay. Well, he's about 2 seconds back on Mummery. That got a better, that actually ameliorated his time by almost over a second at 1:36.6. So not a bad lap to start things off by Leatherwood. All that practice definitely paying off. So here at ACOM. See if he can get his only silver driver thus far, not having put in a valid lap. So hopefully he'll get a good one, because those 10 minutes do fly by very fast, even if you miss just a few of the laps. Let's see coming on here if this will be a valid lap or not for ACOM. And no, still not a valid lap. It's quite unfortunate. We'll have to definitely get that together and try and get a valid lap in these last 3.5 minutes of the quali. Let's see here. We have Leatherwood over a second and a half ahead of his delta going into the last curve. So if this does stick, that will be a pole position for him in D6 silver thus far. Oh, just short. They maybe miscalculate that. But still a very respectable 36.1. Have Acosta here, currently sitting in 10th. Over about 7/10 ahead of his best lap at the moment. Going to get a little bit better, but still a little bit short of a bit higher position in the standings. We have Bexted here going into the final curves of the circuit, about 0.2 seconds down, about 7/10 up on his fastest lap. So that this should, if he keeps everything together on his lap, should put him into second. Going on their last curb, about 1.1 is going to be close, but I think he'll just be shy of the pole position at the moment. Yeah, about 1.5 tenths short. Still a very respectable time as well. Coming in with Beverly Jr. About a half a second up on his best time. Won't make much of a dent in the standings, since he's over a half a second back of 6th place and almost 2 seconds down on first. But still going with a positive delta. A lot of cars kind of caught up to each other, and definitely going to be hard with the spray, trying to get a good quali lap. Hopefully they can finish their lap without getting caught too much by the traffic. Still about 4/10 ahead of his time, losing a little bit in that last turn there, but still a little bit up on his time. Won't do much for the standings. Got a Bubo coming up here as well, going all the way to 3rd position with that monster of a lap. Got Muntean coming here about a second and a half ahead of his best, putting him for a clean 5th. Bubo only 2/10, a little short, a little less than 3/10 down of the first place Mummery. Probably his last valid lap, but already about 3/10 ahead on his best lap. He can just keep it together and might have a good shot. We also have on a pretty decent lap. About 3/10 ahead of his best lap at the moment. Oh, and Bubo just probably went out of bounds and just forfeited that lap. Muntean coming around here. About, oh, excellent turn on his part. About 4/10 ahead of his best time. Losing a little bit of time in that turn though. Gained it, but what he did slow down, but got a good exit. Let's see where this puts him into the standings. We'll have also the gold drivers starting slowly but surely to drive out now onto the track. Oh, and he just spins on that last turn. Quite unfortunate for Muntean. Okay, so let's check some of our gold drivers. So this is pretty much going to be locked from what I see here for D6 Silver. Okay, punting a little bit of those. Hopefully that won't influence too much the pit entry for other drivers. Okay, so let's tune in with our D6 Silver champion from last year, Mr. Matt Moon with Pigeon X Racing. Maybe give Dan, and we got his teammate Dan Meyer right in front of him. Hopefully Matt will slow down a little bit to give himself some space for his valid lap. Even more important on the wet track because of all this spray. And you definitely don't want to be in that spray on your quality laps, especially to go and try and see those actual reference points to get the fastest time possible. Okay, so here we got Dan coming in to start his first lap. Got Matt Moon following him. Give him a respectable gap just to not eat his spray and leave both drivers more than enough room to give them place to work. The rest of the D6 drivers on track. Here we also have Rob Warren. Wasn't in any hurry to get out fast on track. Didn't want to be in any traffic at all, so kind of just cruising, still going, still completing his off lap here. Allen and also Cesar Pizzuto and Mark DC to round up our 6 drivers in the gold division, the D6 gold that presented themselves tonight. So we'll tune in with the leading car of the pack here, Dan Meyer, see what his first valid lap will look like, if it is indeed valid. At the moment, I do see that it has been already invalidated, so it's probably not. So it won't really matter whatever time he puts in. Next one in line that's on a valid lap would be Mr. Matt Moon. Lap still seems valid at the moment. Going into the final 2 corners. Okay, so he's coming right around here on his first valid lap, and no, it wasn't valid. It is is maybe race control briefing me a little bit here. Dan's lap was actually good, but Matt's wasn't. That's exactly contrary to what I would have seen here. Mark Allen already 7 hundredths of a second off the pole position that has been held thus far by Mr. Mummery. So an excellent lap, and you already have Mark DC, Pizzuto, Meyer, all within about 1.5 seconds on their first attempt. So we'll check in with Meyer already on his 2nd lap. About 2/10 on, about 2, let's see. Lost a lot of time there on that exit, unfortunately. Now about 2/10 up on his fastest lap. See if he can hold it together. Excellent exit, a lot better than his first lap. Now his delta shooting up by about 1.5 seconds. If he maintains this pace into the last 2 turns, we'll take the pole from Mummery. Lost a little bit of time there. Was notably slower on those 2 last turns than he was on his first lap. That's good enough for 5th for him. Got Mark DC coming in on the 2 last turns as well, about 7/10 up on his fastest lap, which should make him good for about 3rd or 4th, depending on what pace he's capable to keep here on the straight. And that was actually an invalid lap, just went over sadly at the last second there. Pizzuto coming in. Ooh, a little bit too wide there on the exit. That's an invalid lap on his end as well. Unfortunate, he was about 1 second ahead of his delta. In the meantime, we got Allen that actually took the pole from Mummery. Okay, we got Rob Warren here that just finishes his lap that's good for 6th, about 1 second behind Allen. About 1/2 second up on his lap, going into the final sector of the track. Let's follow along with him, see what he can do in these last final turns to get a better time. Doesn't use a lot of the track there, doesn't affect his time too much, but definitely get a lot more speed there. Going into the last turn, keeping the speed. Slides a little bit there and loses a lot of time. Still about 1/2 second up on his delta. It's good for 6th on his end. Alright, well this is the last few minutes here. Hopefully they put enough fuel to get the full quali session to be able to get their final laps in. Cesar Pizzuto coming in on the last turn, about 4/10 up on his best delta. Coming in, decent last turn here. Going to go get a few spots there, good for 10th. Yep, a lot of very 35.6 for D6 is actually decently fast, I would say. Of course, the hard part about judging pace in the rain is just a slight increase or decrease of the downpour can affect pace quite heavily and change a lot of things. The lines, if there's any accumulation of water, the breaking point. So it's definitely an important skill check when in the rain, because the conditions can change so much so quickly that whoever adjusts the fastest definitely has an advantage, something that you don't have to manage when the track is dry, except for tire wear and other normal things that you have to consider in a normal race. So Dan gets a few tenths there, up on his best time, up to 4th. So this is realistically, Dan might get another lap here, but whoever hasn't completed their last lap within the next, like pretty much now, won't get another shot. It'll be their last lap. So we got Marcus coming in on a valid lap. This will be his last one, won't get another shot. We got Cesar Pizzuto coming in hot here in the last few turns. Very good exit on the last turn of the race. Looking for a few spots here. That's good for 6th. Got Rob Warren here circling that last corner. About a half a second good on his best lap. That'll put him up to maybe 4th, 3rd. Third. That's good for 3rd spot there for Rob Warren. Okay, so who else is on the last lap? So we got we got Meyer there, but a bit slower than on his best lap, so unless he gets some major time here on these last few turns, probably won't be able to do any better than his current lap. That's about 7 tenths off the leader's pace. But Mark, do you see here making a run for it, almost a second on his best lap, and that delta is climbing by the second. There's definitely eyeing that pole position that's been held by Allen for pretty much this whole session thus far. Already in the pit, says that I got the fastest lap, not worth it, I'll check my setup. Mark DC here going up that first lap, loses a little time on the last curve, that's what that lap is good for. Good for 2nd, slightly just ahead of Mummery. So Mummery, despite being a silver driver, is definitely thriving in the rain here. Warren hasn't said his last word, about 2 tenths up on his best lap. Maybe looking for that top 3 spot from Mummery. If he can hold it together, maybe get a little bit of time on these last corners here. Monster before the last turn went all the way up. Is about 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths. A huge last one. That's going to be pole for Warren here. Yep, good for 3 tenths ahead. Was a monster last few turns. Something just clicked in his brain there. So last person on track here on the valid lap is Dan Meyer. About, let's call it a second off pole at the moment, but looking good so far on his lap. Looking at about 6 tenths faster than his best one. So we'll see if he can get some extra time here, or at least hold it together. From his current pace right now, would put him pretty much either 2nd or 3rd. See if we can get a little bit of time here on this last turn. Oh, and that might look like a pole for him. He's looking at about a second ahead. He'll be slightly ahead of Warren if I'm not mistaken. And there we go, 27 hundredths of a second right in front of Warren to snatch that pole him on the last valid lap of the qualifying session. Really clutch moment from him, just stealing that pole away.
Right, we have some wet conditions. Remember that comes as
okay, well, very interesting qualifying session. In this case, basically before, while the racers are getting set up for their their race setup and we're swapping over, we'll do a quick ad read from our sponsors here.
Huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and total sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American based gaming company that provides accessories for your favourite classic systems. including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT 3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
Okay, so thanks to all our sponsors there, and a shout out to them on that video here. And we're already in our formation lap here for the race for our D6 Week 5 race at Red Bull Ring here. So just to go through the grid real quickly in qualifying order. So you got Dan Meyer on pole. Small technical issue here. Can't swap drivers. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I resume. So basically, yeah, so you got Dan Meyer, Rob Warren, just being beat out by a few hundredths of a second on Dan Meyer's last lap. Mark Allen completing the podium of the qualifying. Cesar Pizzuto, Mark DC, Corey Mummery, the fastest of the silver drivers. Daniel Beckstead, Marlon Abubo, Matt Moon, Cleveland Leatherwood, Justin Muntean, Brian Acom, Zipper Burns Sr., Colt, Beverly Jr., Tim Parkinson, and rounding up the grid is Thomas Acosta. Okay, so definitely what we're going to have to look out for, as usual in most races, is the first turns of the first lap. Hopefully we'll see some clean racing here. Looking at the weather forecast, the weather will get worse as the race advances. So we're looking at heavier rain as the race goes on. So that'll definitely be an adjustment for the drivers to have to adjust their lines and their braking points as the race goes on, as the rain does get heavier. I'm not sure if Acosta had he had some technical difficulties or if he has a pit start here, but looks like he's starting from the pits. We got Dan Meyer here leading the pack on pole going into the final turns of this formation lap. Cars going side by side into double file for this rolling start. And as I just mentioned, cars have to be extremely careful here on the first few turns, not only to watch out for your fellow drivers, not end anyone's race prematurely, but also because of all the spray. Very difficult to see, have to be extra cautious. So here we go, going over the start finish line, and we're waiting, and the green lights go. going through the start here. Oh, already a car into the wall. Going into the first turn here. Okay, we've got a few cars in the back there already. I'll have to look here. We'll try to get an instant replay of what happened here in the back. Hopefully we don't miss anything while we're rolling this back for the replay. Okay, and okay, here's the replay. So let's see what happens here. Okay, a little bit of contact here, a little bump. Okay, it was just a little bit of an accordion. Okay, it was going the wrong way. Okay, it wasn't a huge impact, but still. We'll follow Pizzuto here a bit while I'm trying to get the racing in order. It wasn't a huge contact, but still a little bit of an accordion effect there, with not seeing much visibility because of the rain. But other than that, looked like a pretty decent first lap. Not too much carnage going on, not too much penetration, as one might say. So what's difficult here in these conditions is when you're following close by about a second, you're getting sprayed on, so it's hard to see exactly what's going on and getting the reference points. But as well, if the other person is within a second of you, they're also a risk, or more of a risk than they usually would be. So you definitely want to try to pull away or make a move as quickly as possible on the car in front in these conditions. If not, it's almost better sometimes to fall back a little bit and not be in the spray, if at all possible, if you don't have the pace to pull away. So far, Meyer with no one in front of him, already pulling away, almost 2 seconds up on Warren. So we got the train of the first cars following close. We got a lot of close cars here as well in the back of the train. Suburban Senior followed closely by Parkinson, and he's following Beverly quite closely as well. Click on the actual cars here, so let's see if this we'll just follow Rob Warren for a second here. Mark sitting in third. Slowly but surely Sorry, my apologies. Race control is acting up. I don't think it likes my PC very much. Going up the field here. Everyone's about at a 1 second gap, so we'll keep an eye on those deltas to see. So far, the closest gap would be Matt Moon trailing ACOM here. As we can see here, you don't see really much in these conditions. Have to be very, very careful. Okay, a bit wide there for ACOM. Might open the door for Matt Moon. Yeah, very nice pass. Just lets him pass, just to not create any havoc here. Very nice. So that was our closest battle here. We got actually Rob Warren here catching up slowly but surely to Dan Meyer. That was about 2 seconds ahead of him earlier, but now closing in. And not far behind is also Mark Allen, all within about 7/10 of each other. So we got a fight here at the top. We'll try to get the race control working again. So not have to manually change cars all race. It's going to be fast to see if we can also notice an incident at one time or another here. Okay, gap growing a little bit in between these top 3 cars. Not a very good exit by Meyer. Rob Warren catching up a little bit here. But at the moment seems pretty stable, not much going on. Let's go see other battles here. So as you can see here, Bubo trailing Cole by about 7/10, maybe a little bit less right now. Absolutely horrid when you're driving in that car view. Ooh, a little bit of penetration there, a little bit, oh, and something happens there. Waiting, is he going to go? Too much damage? Okay, a Bubo kind of just sitting there. Did his wheel disconnect after that? Okay. Trying to restart the car. Okay, I think his car died out. Maybe that's why he wasn't going for it. Sad. Always have that ignition binded to a button in case of an unfortunate event. Got Matt Moon sliding out a little bit, might open the door for Beckstead here. We'll get a view like this in the meantime, because the race control is not cooperating and not noticeable. But for the cam view, we'll go with this in the meantime, see if race control will want to reconnect. And it will not. Okay, so I won't make the same mistake as last time. I will just restart. I will just rejoin the server and put myself on intermission. Hopefully there's not too much action that will go while we're gone here. So I will just quit the server here for a second and restart the game. Apologies once again, everyone. I don't know what's, if it's the version of race control that's not compatible with, if I didn't update it or something like that, but definitely something going on. It'll just take a minute. I'll just restart the game and rejoin the server. But yeah, but so far, not too much, not too many shenanigans, relatively clean lap 1. Small little incident, but no one got completely taken out. We saw a little bit of penetration there by a Bubo, just maybe missing his brake marker, or maybe there was someone in front that scared the car in front of him, and it just created a chain of events. But that's racing sometimes, right? You can't always control exactly what goes on, especially in the wet. Very hard to adjust and to make last-minute decisions, since the braking is much poorer and the braking zones are a lot longer. Okay, so let's reconnect to the server and try to get this race control going. Worst case, I'll just wing it and do everything manually, but hopefully we can get the software going again. for the time being. Still driving with Matt Moon, try to get the software going. Okay, let's see what's working now. Broadcast mode. Okay, great. Okay, so what's happened so far? So we got Rob Warren setting the fastest lap of the race. 135.4, which is about a half a second faster than anyone on the track at the moment. Really following down Mayer, like only a few tenths down. I mean, them battling also let Mark Allen catch up, and you've got Corey Mummery also just trailing behind about a second and a half. So I mean, there's definitely a huge fight at the top, by far like the longest train of cars we have here. What do we got here? We got, okay, we got a pass here by Mark Allen, actually. Let's see if we can get a replay here for that. We can load the replay quickly. I'm not sure if it's the replays that are making my, if it's the replays that are making the game bug here. Yep, a little bad exit there by Warren. Opens the door here for him. And it's gone again. Yep, it's definitely something to do with the replays, sadly, on my end. At least now I know that it's the replays. Sadly, I won't be able to do any replays on my end before I get that figured out. But yeah, good pass on Allen, but Allen Warren not letting him get off. But now Allen has his eye on first place Mayer. That delta is just melting. Allen here trying to definitely make a statement, and even if he didn't qualify the fastest, can show him that his race pace can compete with these top drivers in V6. Definitely need to keep an eye on that, see if Mayer can hold on. But the more they battle, the more it opens the window also for Warren and Mummery. He's slowly but surely catching up. So elsewhere on the grid, we got Bexted about a second and a half behind Moon. Now down to about a second. Okay, we got Montine here looking for a pass. Yep, getting scared there a little bit by the spray. And look here from what we see wide there. Let's see if we can get a good exit. No, losing it a little bit there. Bexted catching up there to Moon, but not quite close enough to make a pass yet. Let's go look at our leaders, all trailing each other by a few tenths only, so a slight mistake could cost any of them their position. And good look here by Allen, coming up close, but gets the interior. Very good acceleration there. Trying to make a run here at Mayer. Very hard to pass though safely with all that spray. Almost have to wait for a mistake. Little slide there by Warren on the back end. Losing him a few tenths, but actually signed still has the fastest lap Warren here, so definitely has the pace to catch up if he keeps racing clean and doesn't slip up here. Elsewhere, Bexted still chasing Moon down here, now about a half a second back. Oh, and Allen actually loses his position back with the one. Let's see if this replay will work, or if it's going to bug out my software again. Yep, I don't know if it's supposed to be this long. Okay, so let's see what happens here before... let's see what happens here. Well, what happens after he gets past, so... Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted to see, but no worries. important thing is that Warren did pass him, but Allen's still keeping pace and still following him closely. Beckstead still on the hunt for Moon, but Moon just keeping that second gap in back of him, not letting much tantrum. Other than that, we got Matt Moon trying to hunt down Leatherwood. If Matt Moon is able to catch up to Leatherwood, it might start a 3-car train that might let everyone catch up. But in the meantime, all this battling at the top here between Mayer, Warren, Allen let Mumry come within about a little bit over a second. And you also have Mark DC that put in some very good qualifying numbers. That's only about himself a second and a half back of Mumry. So we got the top 5 all within about 2 or 3 seconds of each other, as we can see in that top right corner on the map. Then the next closest person would be Corey Colt, that put in a lot of practice laps this week. I believe he put over 250 practice laps prepping for this race. I mean, definitely showing at the moment being the second fastest silver driver, well, second highest silver driver on the track right now, leading this train of cars here with Leatherwood, Moon, and Beckstead trying to catch each other, only a few tenths off of each other. Oh, we got 787, Justin Montine, a little spin, a little oopsie there. Bubo, the penetrator that we saw at the start of the race, trying to claw his way back up the field. A lot of cars within a few seconds, so if you can get some pace to try and catch up to them, definitely going to be possible. We got Beckstead here finally being able to put the move on Mumry. And we got Allen reclaiming his position on Warren as well, to see if ever he can... I wonder if these guys will actually make a small truce to try and catch Mayer, because every time so far one of them has gotten a little bit close to trying to catch Mayer, there seems to be a battle for that second and third position. Oh! Mayer off the track. We have to see what happened. Oh, did he disconnect? What happened? I don't... Just completely disappeared from the face of the earth. What? Technical issue? Question mark. Okay, that's quite unfortunate. Leading the race and just off the track just like that. Okay, let's try and get a replay going here, see exactly what happened. That's definitely very unfortunate for the race leader here. Let's try to find exact... Okay, definitely a... Wow, okay. Definitely a technical issue, yeah, just not... Okay. Something maybe happened to his wheel died? No... Okay, very... Okay, unfortunate. Okay, well, let's go back here to our... to the new race leader, Mark Allen, see if ever with not having any spray we'll be able to maybe pull away here. Rob Ward not having any of it though, just very closely parks behind Allen. We have Moon and Beckstead still fighting for that 7th place. Let's see if anyone respectable. Moon taking the inside, Beckstead the outside. Moon, let's see here if he can keep that gap. Beckstead gets the inside for the next corner though. Moon and Beckstead just releases a little bit. Moon still on the outside going over that curb. Beckstead still not letting him have it. Then just like ever so slightly leads off the gas, choosing to race another day. Guys have been at it for the last 20 minutes, I would say. So definitely still something to look at. Mark Allen actually made a small little gap for himself, about a second ahead of Warren, with no spray. Hopefully that might help him get enough pace to be able to actually pull away. And Mayer just sitting in pits. I mean, I'm not sure if he's repairing his damage at the moment. We'll see, I guess, if he actually leaves the pits eventually. But yeah, not looking good for him. Mark DC here, slowly, staying in 4th here. I actually took the fastest lap of the race from Warren a few laps ago, putting in a 35.3, which is a very good race pace at the moment, considering that was we do see a discrepancy though in the fastest laps by the top 4. Well, it was top 5 before Mayer actually crashed out, but all of them in sub 36 lap best laps, looking pretty steady on that. And then you got Colt about 7 or 8 seconds back of that lead pack, and you see right away that his lap time is about a second off of them. So 20 minutes into the race, that is just growing here. Okay, and we actually see Matt Moon and Beckstead, as I mentioned earlier, finally catching up to Leatherwood here. All 3 cars of this train within about a second of each other, so this will definitely be an interesting battle going forward. See what happens here. Leatherwood trying to keep his D6 Silver championship hopes alive with this race. Got Beckstead here looking for the interior. Decides to back off here to follow the train. We got Colt here. Okay, now we got a Bulo back here looking another 3-car train here led by Brian Acom, all within about a second and a half of each other. Trying to keep an eye there to see if anything happens. Dan Mayer is actually back on track here, being a trooper. I mean, any position and just finishing the race with a small field like this with only 17 cars participating, it's always better to finish the race and get what you can. Maybe he'll be able to carve himself a few positions back with this raw pace. Leatherwood followed by Moon and Beckstead here, still the closest train we have here that will definitely see some action. Oh, Rob Warren here spinning. Oh, what happened? I can't click cars anymore. No. What happened to Warren? Something happened to Warren, and now the race control is just going crazy again. Nice. Okay, well, something happened to Warren all the way down to 5th now. Yep, and the buttons in race control are not working once again. Fantastic. Gotta love it. Matt Moon actually going up on Leatherwood. See if Beckstead can make the move on Leatherwood too. Matt Moon already almost a second ahead of Leatherwood. Definitely was probably a very bad exit. He'll be able to put that train behind him, and now next up on the plate is Rob Warren that had some sort of accident that made him fall back all the way down to 5th at the moment. Still a really close race here. You guys, Leatherwood still being followed by Beckstead very, very closely. Okay, so Rob Warren here in the pits maybe got some damage on that incident that we missed earlier. The realistic pit window here is starting to open up for these drivers. So if he does have a little bit of damage to repair, or while he's falling back on the pace, might as well just pit immediately. Not a bad thing. These wet tires can also, because of the cool temperatures and the high PSI, can also stomach a little bit more, wear than the average dry tire, I would say. So yeah, so Rob Warren in the pits there. Martin Abubo still following very, very closely. Gordon Beverly Jr. there. And Brian Acomb not too far ahead. We go just through the grid quickly. So we got Tim Parkinson right in front, Cesar Pizzuto, then a little bit further ahead we got Zipperburn Sr., Leatherwood, Beckstead, Colt, DC, Mummery, and Allen leading the race. Actually, Allen comfortably ahead now by about almost, we'll see the delta here, about 5 seconds ahead now. We'll see Thomas Acosta, how fast will move out, starting to be blue flagged here. We'll see if Mark Allen is able to safely get past. He does lift, and Mummery, we'll see if Mummery is able to get the same courtesy as quickly as Allen got it. Okay, we got car 152 here, Beckstead. Okay, everything is not working once again. Got a little bit Beckstead. Had an issue there, falling further and further back. Definitely see the front of that car, very damaged. Lost pretty much all of his momentum that he had going for him. He was sitting 8th last time we checked. A lot of unfortunate events here by some of the race leaders, just losing control, having an incident, and just putting them so far back up the field. Yeah. So if we're looking at one of the closer battles here, we got Abubo coming up on Gordon Beverly about 7/10 back. It'll be interesting to see how, I mean, Warren, despite already having pit, is still 14th in the race. Okay, and we got the pits coming in just as I say it, so we got Matt Moon in the pit. We got Muntean in the pit as well. I mean, probably got some damage as we saw at the front of the car. Will be interesting to see if ever he will repair it or not. So let's look to see Matt Moon here. See where, hopefully, the best case scenario for these drivers is that it's not too, they don't wind up in a huge train of back markers, because at that point they won't have right of way to pass them, and then they'll have to do all the work. We got car 923 out here, which is Acosta. Had a small boo-boo there. Okay, Corey Colt, that was a back marker, just letting him go. Mark Allen still having the fastest lap of the race. 35-3, so everybody's, I mean, they've kind of been fighting each other for the fastest laps, but everything, always about a tenth or two. So we actually got Rob Warren and Matt Moon right in back of each other. Not sure how far Matt is back of Rob Warren. 908, yeah, so quite a bit far back. So you see that between 13th and 14th, there's about, there's a good gap there. Beckstead, Abubo, and Beverly here following each other pretty closely, I would say. Definitely going to be something to look at. Beckstead going into the pits himself now. his pit. 17th, a bit less in the race. Bexit still in pits, probably repairing some of the damage. Seems like a pretty long pit. Look at our race leader here. Alan comfortably ahead of Mummery. As soon as he got some pre-track to just do his thing, definitely has been flying now and commanding 8.5 second lead on his closest rival. Let's see if we can get race control working once again. I've learned my lesson. I will no longer do any replays, sadly, for the evening because it just bugs out everything for me. And the first of the front runners, we got Corey Colt in the pits. Coming into pit, not a bad time. I mean, if ever he has to pit sooner or later, even if the tires aren't, you know, they don't get used as much in the wet conditions. Always better to have a fresh set. Got Leatherwood going into the pits as well. It'll be interesting to see how long Alan will want to ride these tires. So far still in a very comfortable lead on second. No reason to pit immediately if he has free air, not many back markers in sight. So we can kind of just do his thing and still ride it out for a while here. Interestingly enough, the incident with Mayer earlier didn't count as his pit, so he still needs to pit once again. Didn't notice that earlier, but that will definitely be interesting. If he would have already changed his tires, he could have maybe carved through the grid a little bit more, but now sitting in 15th after his spin out and still having to do one more pit, might be able to not finish last, but will be very, very hard. We'll need an immense effort on his part, if it's even mathematically possible to not finish last with still another pit to go on his end. But so far with the pits, so Rob Warren actually ahead of Colt, Moon, and Beckstead, even after his little slip up earlier. As I say that, the caster Karis goes wide a little bit here. Still about 3.5 seconds ahead of Colt, but can't slip up too many times. And we got Pizzuto in 6th coming in for his pit stop. Yep, and something doesn't. My computer does not like race control at all. So let's look at Mark DC here, trailing. Okay, and we actually have Mummery that came out first. When did that happen? Interesting. Okay, we got Alan deciding to pit here. So yeah, Alan was leading by so much, and now Mummery's ahead. None of the front runners actually pit thus far, so Alan just pitting right now was followed by DC. I mean, very interesting to see what happened there exactly. We got Alan in the pits, so it'll be interesting to see as well where he comes out. Zipperburn Sr. following in the pits. So what's going to be important for these guys is to see exactly where they come out of the pits and ahead of whom and how far back as well. See if they'll get traffic. So we got Leatherwood out of the pits. Dan Meyer actually completed his pit there. And Mark DC rolling in second here, about 7.5 seconds behind Mummery. Matt Moon here. Okay, so we got Alan actually in 6th at the moment, having completed his pit. 8th down here, but I mean a very good it's a very forgiving pit exit because you can definitely get some speed and challenge other cars on the straight. Mark Allen just slightly coming in ahead of Rob Warren. That's I wonder what exactly happened to Mark Allen earlier, because he was leading the race, and Rob Warren spun out earlier, as we saw, and now they're toe-to-toe after their pit. So maybe Allen had some damage, decided to repair it. Maybe he had a similar spin out. Interesting. Well, Mark Allen's still leading the race for the people that have, in the drivers that have pitted so far. Mark DC has elected to pit right now as well. So now all eyes will be on Mummery to see exactly where he decides to pit, because that Porsche car 428, basically at the moment still a good ways in back of any back markers. Free air. Closest car will probably be that 674 car by Tim Parkinson. That's about a half lap down on him at the moment. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see when he decides to actually pit here. So yeah, so Parkinson about 37 seconds down on him. Oh, and oh no, and Mark DC gets a drive-through coming out of pits here. Extremely tragic. He was having a great race there, but probably just went over the line a little bit too fast, or either on entry or on exit. Got Mark Allen here and Rob Warren battling it out. And plus Mark DC actually came out ahead of these front runners in the race. Quite unfortunate. Looks like for the last 20 or so minutes, rain will let up a little bit here. Okay, and the game has crashed. That's interesting. Yep, something about ACC on my PC with other variants and stuff like that doesn't seem to be meshing very well. So I will just reopen the game. I'm sorry once again to everyone for these technical problems. We'll definitely have to get that sorted out in the next week. Okay, well, let's go and rejoin the server, shall we? Since the game loads up pretty fast, I didn't put it on intermission in the meantime, because we'll just get right back into the server for this race. Get into that. And the game is just loading up here, won't be very long.
Pit window is open.
Hopefully we didn't miss
Green light.
too much action here. Oh, okay, back on board with that moon here. Okay, so let's get back into it. So Mummery, so still 5 cars having not pitted yet. As I say it, I noticed that Beverly Jr. is in the pits at the moment. Rob Warren actually gets the job done on Allen. Allen looking for another pass here on Warren. Will he make it stick? No, but they'll definitely be battling it out here. So it'll be very interesting to see how far back Allen and Warren are on Mummery, to see that if he does decide to pit, they're actually not that far back at all. We have, let's see here. They're about 20-ish seconds back on Mummery, so if he does pit, they'll probably, so Allen will be leading the race once again once they're all said and done. So Zipperburn Senior and Abubo pitting. So we'll keep an eye on them to see what happens. Warren sitting in third in the pits in the meantime. Mummery still leading the race. 428. Warren is 69. Yep, so Mummery about 3/4 of a lap ahead of Warren. And ACOM all the way back there. He's only about halfway through the lap. Yeah, so Mummery might have the gap to be able to keep his lead after the pit. Only time will tell. So Zipper Burns Sr. out of the pits here, about 11th at the moment. Not really anyone close to him at the moment. So he'll be able to keep that 11 for them. We have Beverly Jr. and Beckstead here battling it out for that 12th position. Beckstead actually gets the move done on Beverly out of that corner. Probably slid a little bit there. We didn't notice what we got here. So have a little train going here for 8th, 9th, and 10th. All falling pretty closely. Okay, so we got ACOM here, the second to last person that hasn't hit yet. So all eyes are on Corey here to see when he will decide to pit. Only 18 minutes to go. Judging by his last few laps, still keeping pace with the faster people. As I said, Mark Allen just takes the fastest lap of the race, so 1:35.3. Baz actually gets the job done on Warren, slightly ahead at the moment. We'll see them battle through these next few turns. Taking giving Allen a little. No, Warren not able to take the inside to get a pass. So the guys are fighting for that extra step on the podium. Matt actually gets a double pass on Parkinson and a Bubo. Bubo goes through as well. Parkinson loses 2 places to that, sadly. Oh, Matt Moon slowly carving his way up the field. That being said, Mark DC, even with his drive-through penalty, still sitting in a 6th position here. Guys have been at it all race, Allen and Warren. The important thing now for both of them is just to be as quick as they can to lose as less time as possible to Mummery that will eventually come into the pits, but nope, still fighting for that 2nd place here. Warren goes a little bit wide there. Allen losing to lose some acceleration might open the way for Warren here, but that Bentley power easily just cruises through with the better exit on that. Just parks himself right in front of Allen. Beautiful pass. Okay, we got Bubo still trailing very closely. And Mummery still not electing to pit. Still trying to get as big a gap possible. Because if you do look at the mini map, we've got Mummery car 428 and Warren car 69. Mummery is almost like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds away from closing in on Warren to actually lap him. So even if he does, pit, we're looking at about a 75-second window before the 2nd place catches him. So it'll be definitely interesting to see where he winds up on the track, if Warren or Allen will undercut Mummery or if he will maintain the lead. A little bit of a long exit there by Warren. Nothing too tragic though. Still leading Allen by about 7/10. Bubo trying to get some work done here on Moon. About a half a second back. Keep an eye on that, so you're just not seeing that happens. We got Beverly Jr. in pits. Haven't noticed how long he's been there. Not sure if it's extra pit, if he got into some damage. Oh, and we got Allen actually making the move on Warren. These guys are just exchanging that 2nd position. Mummery actually not slowing down on all and putting in the fastest lap of the race at a 35.1. So he's, even if he's leading by a substantial amount, despite not having pitted yet, not letting out at all on the pace to try and, you know, keep milking that as much as he can before he finally decides to go into pit. Only about 2 turns back now from Alan and Warren, looking to maybe even lap them before pitting, who knows. Got Dexted now right in back of Zipperburn Senior. We got Abubo finally making the move on Moon. Goes through the 7th place. Very good showing on his end. His teammate Ghislaine Smith actually not racing today, probably using his off week. Maybe he doesn't like the rain, maybe he's having some sort of issue or was not able to race today. But Abubo looking to get some points for that Lambo Calrissian team. And we got Alan and Warren, the eternal battle of these two fighting each other once again for second. But to be honest, like I mentioned earlier, really not doing any of them other favors, because of course they're fighting for that second place, but in the grand scheme of things, they should be trying to keep pace or be as fast as they can to try and undercut Mummery. But now they've been slowing each other down for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe even, battling each other non-stop, and now we see that that car 428 coming here on T1 on the Niki Lauda curb, only about he's one long straight away from lapping the second and third position before going in, hopefully for his pit within the next few minutes. Hope he doesn't forget that he has to pit. That would be unfortunate. Abubo passing Matt Moon a lap or two ago. Moon not having any of it, still trying to keep pace with him. Bex had actually made the move on Zipperburn Senior here. Oh, we have a little spin back there. That is Zipperburn Senior here. A little bit of a oopsie. Leatherwood going on through. Thank you very much for the extra position. Beverly Jr. actually out of the pits. I was confused earlier to see if he would continue racing, but going to finish his race like a trooper, sitting in 17th at the moment. Kind of in no man's land. Montine is nowhere close. He's about 5 laps back of the leader. Not racing for much at the moment, except just for the satisfaction of having finished the race. Abubo and Moon still going at it here for that 7th position. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. We have Alan and Warren. Warren letting up a little bit, maybe had an unfortunate exit, or maybe they finally made a truce and realized that they have to start carving a little bit of that delta. Because we got, we still got Mummery here, 1 or 2 turns down of those guys, so when he does decide to pit, it'll be very close to see if they're able to undercut him or not. Fortunate race here for Dan Mayer. Led for most of the first section of the race, but maybe had a connection issue and just ran into and just kept sliding into the wall for a few seconds there before finally just rejoining the race. Definitely would have had the pace to make a run or at least a case for trying to take the victory, but now sitting in 15th. Depending on if he's already had one bad race this season, could use this race as his drop race potentially, because in SRA we do only count the 7 best races of an 8-week schedule and drop the worst one. And actually we have here Mark Allen just edging out Mummery for the fastest lap of the race at a 35.1. only about 60 hundredths of a second faster than what Mumry's lane races. And at this point, when you're at the top of the standings trying to fight for the championship chance, that fastest lap in that pull, the 2 extra points can make a difference in the long run. So we'll see within the last 10 minutes here of the race if ever Mark Allen can hold on to that. And we actually have Mumry come in and finally for his pit. So we'll have to keep a close eye on these 2 gentlemen here, Mark Allen and Rob Warren, to see when that 428 car moves. Finally, still in the pits at the moment. Okay. Engine starts and away he goes. So we got Allen and Warren here coming up on the last turn, but we have Mumry already well past the marker, already accelerated into that curb for the first straight. Yeah, so not even close, to be honest. Allen and Warren will be able to see the delta here once Allen goes past the line here. Was about 6 once he goes into the off the sector 1 timestamp here. But yeah, so 12 seconds behind Mumry here. So Mumry looking here to close out this race. We'll try not to caster curse him, but with 8 minutes to go with a 12-second gap, can definitely just go for a little Sunday drive and close out things. The big question is who between Warren and Allen will finish in second. They've been battling for the whole race. In the back of the pack here, we do have Dan Meyer trying to make a move here on Acosta, trying to carve through the field a little bit. A little bit of weaving there, interesting. Trying to get rid of the spray, trying to stress out Acosta here. Not able to make the move on that first turn. Maybe a little slip up by Warren here, now about a 1.5 seconds back. So let's see here. So we got a Bubo that made a nice pass on Moon earlier. Now looking at about a 2.5 second lead on him. Carved a little gap for him. But this is definitely the battle to see if Mary can go and get a position back to get a few extra points in the leaderboard. Mary trying to make the Pigeon X Racing team proud and score some points for them. Warren not having any of that last slide and looking to eye down Allen, now within a second striking distance for that second position. Allen still holding that fastest lap of the race at a 35.1. Interesting to see if Mumry just decides to play it safe to go get that extra point, or if he will try to push it to get the last lap. I think that trying to get a fast lap right now would be extremely greedy, considering that the race is pretty much won. We've seen that 12-second gap melt down to 10, but with only 6 minutes left, he can afford to just ease off a little bit and just use that gap as a cushion to just finalize this and just bring it home. We still got Meyer though, eyeing Acosta. Pretty much been in back of him for the last 2 or 3 laps, trying to get that position, hoping for a bad exit on his part. That's not the turn he was looking for, but hopefully he'll be able to make the move with only a few minutes to go. Warren maybe a little slip up here because now about 2 seconds back of Allen. With how close these 2 drivers have been in pace all race long, a 2-second gap is actually huge in perspective with only a few laps left to go. definitely a small slip up there on Warren's part, because his last lap was almost a 137, which is a way off his usual pace. And we actually have Mark DC here saying, no, I'll take that extra point, thank you very much, with the fastest lap of the race. The only person thus far in D6 that has put up a sub 135 lap at 134.945. So despite not maybe having the race that he would have hoped with an incident early, going to get that potentially 6th position if things stay as is and the fastest lap, but with only 2.5 seconds behind of 5th place Cesar Pizzuto, might be able to make a move if there's a small slip up on his end. But meanwhile, with all this battling, oh wait a minute, Mummery? No, Mummery, okay, I saw the Delta go down a little bit, I was scared for him, but with all this battling from Warren and Colt, we actually have, with Alan and Warren, we actually have Colt that's only 2 seconds back of Warren at the moment, and the gap is closing, so hopefully Warren will be able to fend him off and not let all that battling affect his mental too much, and be able to keep Corey Colt out of that podium spot. Got Beckstead here battling for a top 10 with ACOM, only a half second, and as I say, it goes wide here. Very unfortunate. Losing actually as I say at that position. Yep, that's Caster Curse at its best, folks. As I say his name. Oh, and then ACOM just slides out. We'll be able to recuperate. Leatherwood. Car 294 is coming. He has to make a move quick or he'll lose the spot to Leatherwood. Trying to restart his car, maybe? Maybe. Oh, and in the grass. That's unfortunate by ACOM. Just as I finally give him a little bit of screen time, just drops it. Mayer finally making the move on Acosta here. Going all up to 14th. So, I mean, that's not last. I mean, considering the huge incident he had earlier, getting those 3 extra spots from dead last is something. Mummery, we asked the question earlier and we have gotten our answer. Just makes a classic Max Verstappenist move and leading the race by over 12 seconds. Nothing to gain except that extra point from the fastest lap. Says, thank you very much. I will take that fastest lap off your hands, Mr. Mark DC, by a few hundredths of a second, setting the new fastest lap to 34.917. Just interesting to see in the last few laps if anyone will be able to take that away from him, or if he'll get the win and the fastest lap of the race. If he does have some track limits to play with, maybe he... No, I mean, you don't even get the fastest lap for that, so not even worth it. Even if you have your cut tokens, you wouldn't get the fastest lap anyways because it would be invalidated. So yeah, so just raw speed there by Mummery getting that fastest lap back. Dan Mayer here past Acosta, but Acosta still trying to catch up, only a few seconds back. We actually, we actually have Beckstead here getting blue flagged to try and get past Acosta, but since he is battling for that 14th spot, it's hard to make a call to let him pass and give up your last chance to make a pass. So we'll see what he decides to do. On his end, I mean, Beckstead, his closest car is Leatherwood, which is a fair amount back, so he could just maybe recognize that the 2 cars in front of them, despite being blue flagged, are battling and just lets them have it. But still following closely. And that is the white flag here. Acosta actually just lets the blue flag go through. Usually that's what you're going to want to do, but in this case there's nothing to fight for. Mummery actually setting a blazing 134.2, almost 7/10 faster than the previous fastest lap that he was the holder of. So despite having the win in the bag, not letting up at all pace-wise. A very interesting decision on his part. Maybe the rain getting a little bit lighter and the race is getting faster. And what happened to Mark Allen? All the way down to 4th, and Colt going into 3rd. That makes a 2nd place for Warren, and Colt getting on the podium. Mark Allen all the way back to 4th now with only one on the last lap of the race. insane. That's quite unfortunate on his end, sitting second for most of the last portion of the race, battling out with Warren, and probably spinning out or something to having lost 2 positions in a blink of an eye without us even realizing it. But at the moment, all eyes are on Corey Mummery, just getting through the last few turns here at the Red Bull Ring. So we will watch the final standings for this race just unfold as they come. So Corey Mummery going on this final straight, going over that finish line with the checkered flag, must feel very good. We'll have Rob Warren here coming on that final turn, going over the curb a little bit, no worries. Going to check that. Got Colt here with Allen only a few tenths behind, but sadly a little bit too far to make a move with only 1 lap remaining. So Colt third, finished the podium. Mark Allen finishing in 4th, which is quite unfortunate. He must not be happy with that result, considering he was second for most of the race. We got Cesar Pizzuto going over the line in 5th, Mark DC in 6th, Abubo going over the line in 7th, Matt Moon, Tim Parkinson just going over the last few turns here on their end. We already have a couple of other finishers that were lapped traffic. Acom and Zipperburn Senior already finished their races since they were a lap behind. So Parkinson going over Beckstead here, going over the final few turns. Car in front of him, but it's lap traffic. Leatherwood, the final car that will go over the line in this race, going over the last few turns here. Everyone is already leaving the server, but that is an 11th place for Leatherwood. Great, so if we look at the final standings of this race, so we got our podium with Mummery, Warren, Colt, followed by Mark Allen, Pizzuto, Mark DC, Abubo, Moon, Parkinson, Beckstead, Leatherwood, Acom, Zipperburn Senior, Mayer, Acosta, Muntean, and finishing off the grid is Beverly Jr. in 17th place. Yeah, so great race. Lots of unfortunate events that maybe we weren't able to capture completely because of software issues, but we'll go look to get a couple of post-race interviews done with our drivers here. So I will go see who is available in the servers. See if I can pull anyone in here for the for a post-race interview. Okay, so who can we kidnap here? So I will wait a few moments here to let people join the Discord servers. Definitely going to want to speak with, if possible, our top 3, Mummery, Warren, and Colt. Maybe make that Mummery, Warren, and Allen to see exactly what happened in that last moment, because some unknown incident that we did not capture on the stream made it that Allen went down to 4th position in the last lap or 2 of the race. So it would be very interesting to see his insight about that, to see exactly what went on. Yeah, so I'll go kidnap Corey here for a second. So I do see that he has joined a server, so I will move to I will move him into my server here. Hello, Mr. Mummery. You have been kidnapped to the commentator's booth.
Wow, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what Like, what do you do when you win? Nobody's more shocked than me. Where am I supposed to go?
I mean, you're already here with me, so basically you are the winner of this moist Red Bull Ring race for week 5. So you just mentioned you are surprised that you made the win. What exactly cemented that victory on your end, in your opinion?
Oh man, I think it was all about consistency. I was slipping a little bit, but I eased off the throttle, tried to keep it on the track, and I think it was all about consistency. I wasn't sure about the weather. That's why I pitted so late. I think there was like 10 minutes left in the race when I pitted, and that was because I wasn't sure about the weather, if I wanted wet or dry. And I think that actually worked out to my benefit as well, pitting so late.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at the race and commenting on it, we were actually wondering when exactly you were going to pit, because we were seeing that race timer trickle down. But with how far you were ahead of Warren and Alan that were battling for those podium spots, you kind of just pulled away there. And even after pitting, you were quite a comfortable distance ahead. And all that. Yeah,
the open track before I hit the pits also helped a lot. I didn't have traffic for, it felt like forever, so I could put in some decent lap times also.
Yeah, indeed. And you even, if I'm not mistaken, you got that fastest lap of the race on your final laps, probably due to not having any track and being so far ahead.
Yeah.
Were you actually pushing for that fastest lap, or did it just kind of happen with the conditions and your fresh set of tires so late in the race?
Well, I got the fastest lap earlier in the race, and then I noticed when I came out of the pits I didn't have it anymore, and the track was drying up, and I figured if I had a decent early part of a lap, I would try and push it and get the fastest lap. But winning the race was definitely the priority, so I didn't push it too hard until I hit like the section 2 of the lap, and I think I was half a second up and felt like I had it, so I pushed it, and then after that I eased up a little bit to make sure I stayed on the track.
Yeah, no, very smart racing on your end. We were actually wondering, and in the final laps, you actually did lose, as you mentioned, the fastest lap, and then you kind of recuperated it there. I mean, with how far you were ahead, it was probably the best move to just, like you say, just ease up a little bit and just to secure the win. Yeah, so great stuff. Congratulations on your victory. Is it your first victory in SRA?
Oh yeah, first victory. I haven't even been close, actually. I think I've had a top 5 maybe at Spa last season, but this is my second season and definitely haven't been close to winning a race. So this is awesome. Feels great.
Well, great. Well, congrats once again. Maybe the wet races and the conditions suit you. Maybe that's where you'll thrive in the next races in the next season. So congrats once again. I'll move you directly back to the race review, and yeah, so have a good one.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so I actually sent him to the D3 and D4 race chat by mistake. So let's see here. So Rob Warren is actually leading the debrief. So we'll go with the next person in line then, and maybe ask him a little bit later if he wants to get kidnapped a second. So maybe we'll speak with Colt and Alan then. So Corey Colt is there, so I will go and fetch him. Hello, Mr. Colt. You've been kidnapped to the commentator's booth for the stream.
Alrighty.
Hey, so congrats on your podium finish there at the end. Was that expected at all on your end to be able to be in the top 3 this week?
No, not at all. That was a pleasant surprise. I got really lucky on the first turn where I was able to sneak through on the right and put me in a good position from 14th to 7th. I was like, what just happened? Unfortunately, I hit Mr. Leatherwood just before that turn, though, so I'm going to be getting penalized for that, and I apologize, Mr. Leatherwood, for that. It's a little bit hard to see and hard to tell when people are braking, especially on the Porsches. You can't see the brake lights at all. Great race. I've really enjoyed racing arena. Actually, I thought it would be horrible experience, but it was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear it. I mean, you definitely were able to keep up and stay consistent the whole race, and it translated to an excellent finish. Hopefully that incident that you mentioned won't affect too much the standing and lose your podium, but we'll see. It really depends. I mean, in the rain, there is also that, there's the spray, as you mentioned. Visibility is next to naught, so it's extremely hard to react if anything happens in front. Yeah, so on your end, did you do much prep for these wet conditions in the last 2 weeks, since there was that extra week off?
Yes, actually I did an extreme amount of prep because I was very nervous, and I knew that I had to beat Mr. Mummery. He's very fast, so I know I'm in the points a race with him, so I knew I had to do good on this race somehow. So I did a lot of practice. I learned a couple of tips to get a little bit faster around the track, which helped out. I think it took a second off my time. I also found a little bit better setup, which helped me take a little bit more time off. And overall, I just got real lucky, and I'm very grateful for everything you guys do, and this is a great experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, glad to hear it. I mean, on your end, looking here at the stats, I mean, with all the people in D6, you were by far the one who put in the most practice laps in the practice servers, the official practice servers. So, I mean, I think that this podium finish is well-deserved with all the time that you spent, that you invested into it. So, hard work does pay off.
Thank you.
Great.
I always like how you keep track of all the stats. It's always really impressive. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's already provided, like, on the website. I had them already pulled up, but yeah, we try to do our homework before the race. Yeah, so was there any parting thoughts or any people you would like to shout out before I move you back to the race review?
Just thank you to the SRA staff. This league is amazing. I've never had such an awesome experience with a bunch of like-minded people, and I'm really appreciative of everyone that's part of this league. I look forward to doing more races with everybody for a long time.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that, and I'll shoot you back to your race review, and we'll hopefully see you next week with a similar finish.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Okay, so that's a second, and to round off, like I mentioned earlier, I won't kidnap Warren since he is running the review, but we'll go with Mark Allen, to see what happened exactly there at the end. Hello, Mr. Mark Allen. You have been kidnapped to the commentator's booth.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so basically an interesting finish to the race on your end. I was alone, so I wasn't able to catch all the action, sadly, but I just noticed towards the end there that you had created a gap for yourself ahead of Warren, trying to cement that second place, and then in a blink of an eye, I realized you dropped down to fourth. What happened exactly?
Yeah, I came into, I was running well, and finally got some clean air where Rob and I weren't racing each other, so I was getting some good speed, and I was gaining a second a lap, or maybe even a little bit more on most laps on P1, so I was probably pushing a little bit more than I should, but just caught a curb on the I think turn 2, the second, like the first gear corner, and spun me around, and then it's like, oh no, and by the time I got it straightened back out, 2 guys got by me, so yeah, not good.
Yeah, no, very quite unfortunate, because I did comment, like, during the race that you battled Rob for a good portion of the race, actually, even after he had an issue. Once you both came out of pits in the second portion of the race, right back where you started over, and yeah, so I mean, it's unfortunate that once you had created a little gap for yourself and passed him finally, that there was that unfortunate incident.
Lessons learned.
Exactly, and I did speak with Mummery earlier, saying that he was letting up a little bit, because I think he was 12 or 13 seconds ahead in the final few laps.
That makes sense.
So at that moment, I think that it's not really worth pushing too much to try and catch up, because within a few laps, I mean, realistically, it's hard to catch up that much of a gap, and just try and secure what we can. But like you said, lessons learned. I mean, we all learn every single week, whether we're new to this or seasoned veterans. But
That's just it.
yeah, but other than that, I mean, I think that except for that last little slip up, there was a lot of consistency on your part to be able to hold that pretty much top 3, top 4 for the whole race.
Thank you.
What kind of prep did you do for this race? Did you do? Are you just naturally good in the wet conditions, or did you do a lot of practice? How did that work for you in the last 2 weeks?
I seem to be a little bit better on the brakes in the wet than most, but I did practice a couple weeks ago, and then didn't touch the wheel for a week because I was away. But I felt pretty good about the track and the setup, and the wet as well. I think what made it tricky tonight, other than the obvious, but it was drying, as you probably realized with the times, the whole race. So your braking points were just slightly changing to get that extra few tenths, and it made it quite interesting to push versus just keep your consistency as the track was slowly changing. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is one of the biggest, skill checks in a wet race, that the conditions are not only your own conditions from tire wear and other factors, but also, as you mentioned, if the rain lets up, and just the fact having so many cars drive on the track for an hour in a row can also create some dry lines there, even if the rain does not change during the course of the race. So very good point on your end.
Yep.
Well, I mean, congrats for your 4th place finish, even though you probably were eyeing a little bit higher before that incident at the end. Was there anything else you would like to add before I send you back to the race review? Any shout outs, any last comments?
No, I mean, Rob and I already met in the chat room there, and we both mentioned we both had a lot of fun racing each other, so it was a really fun night tonight.
Great. Well, I mean, that's what we like to hear. That's what we're here for. So great. So, I mean, thanks for your time. I'll send you back to the review, and I will see you next week for the next race at Zandvoort.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye bye. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the last interviews here with some of our top finishers. We had a little bit of insight of our 4th place finisher commenting on his battle with Rob here. We didn't want to kidnap him to not stop the race review from happening in the D5 D6 chat for their race. Here at SRA, after the race, they usually take the habit of just reviewing as a group with whoever raced, any incidents and any comments or anything that they need to discuss after the race, and all in all respect, not to flame anyone or anything like that, but just to have a hard discussion about anything that might have arisen during the race. So it just shows how here at SRA everyone is committed to try and improve, to race clean, and to have a very healthy and nurturing environment for drivers of all skill levels. So basically on my end, that was the Red Bull Ring in the wet conditions for this D6 race for week 5 of season 12. So I will bid all of you a very good evening, and I will probably be casting next week, so I will catch you all there. So have a great one, and I hope to see you all then.